everything related to cognitive behavioral therapy, to me, it's in the book. So like, if you think about like scripture, so I would have fainted lest I believe I'll see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.
In the land.
So that is one of my favorite scriptures because it talks about the power of belief, like that you will see the goodness of the Lord, and you don't have to wait for it. You'll see it here in the land of the living. But if you did not believe, if you don't believe, you can faint.
Hey, thank God for another day. Hey, I know we could be another way. Hey, pray. Thank God for another day. Hey, I know we could be another way.
She don't say go. She just start recording. So, so now you trying to be smart, y'all. I just told. Oh, she cute, y'all. I just hollered at. Look, I'm ADHD. Yo, it's your girl Jessica S. Smith, and I am super excited to welcome you to Just Ask the Podcast, where we create a safe space for influencers to decompress, have fun, and guess what? Just ask. Y'all, we are in the month of May, and you know what we're doing. We are celebrating or bringing awareness to mental health. Why? Because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. But before I get into our when I say hashtag very, all caps, very bold, italicized, make it loud and proud, baby, we got a very special guest in the building. But before I introduce him, Desiree.
Hello there.
Desiree.
Hello, everybody.
Desiree.
Welcome back.
Desiree.
Welcome back for another episode. We're so glad to have you in this space today.
She thought she wasn't gonna have a mic today, but Kenneth. Shout out to Pastor Kenneth. He showed us some love not too long ago and told us that he enjoys the Desiree song. Okay, he said one episode you almost forgot. Not calling me out. It's good to be in the neighborhood, and it's good that y'all are enjoying the recordings, the show, right? Because Greg told us we had a show, all right? It's not just a podcast, it's a show, right? So we appreciate it. Y'all, shout out to my TikTok family. Desiree, like these folks really,
man, for real.
They coming over to YouTube.
Come on.
And they switching over, like they committing. Okay, I see you. I love all y'all. Yes. Shout out to each and every one of y'all. Listen, if you don't know, now you know. I'm doing lunch with Jess every Monday through Friday at 11:30 Central Standard Time. Y'all, shameless plug. This community that we're growing on TikTok is real. Like, we get real every day. Like, no cap. So if y'all want to see what we're doing in TikTok, the Jessica S. Smith on every platform. Y'all holler at me. But let me get into who y'all. If y'all know me, if y'all follow me, y'all know why this man is a special guest. Y'all, I have been knowing this man for over 10 years. I can't believe we are old. So it's probably about to be knocking on, if I think about it, so 2009. So I think it was, no, not 2009, 2011. Yeah, 2011. So that's 10 years plus 3, so 13 years.
Give us extra one.
Look, because that's going to give us another. And some of y'all hear the voice, so if y'all know that voice, y'all know what it is, y'all. This man is heaven sent. Like, he is definitely one of my best friends. And we have grown together. We've seen each other grow. I've been through 3 degrees with him, if y'all know. Baby, it is sauce dripped out. The most intelligent person I probably met in my life. And so I have none other than Dr. Phillip A. Sullivan. Y'all give him a round of applause. Oh my gosh. Phillip on you. That's Kendall would say. She be like, Phillip on you.
I can always count on you to hype me up and give me the best intro.
Period. Where?
Who?
I think me and Oniska be tying sometimes though, because Oniska gone.
Yeah, Oniska, she's a hype queen too.
Yeah. But it's all love over here. Why not though?
Yeah.
Like, why not? I am so happy to have you here. Listen, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all the tea. So the tea is that Phillip did an interview with me. I don't know how long that's been though.
Like 2020 or 2020.
Yeah, because we was in COVID. Yeah, we were in COVID. So it's been 4 years.
That's
My
crazy.
God.
Yeah.
And it was just as when it wasn't just as. It was like I had my phone and that's it. We ain't had no microphones. I had a little tripod.
I was living on campus.
Yep. You were living on campus. And it's called Smart Saved and Single, something like that. We'll have to tag this that video in because baby, we gave all the tea. Okay, people still talking about that episode when I wasn't really calling this thing a show or a podcast. And so this young man, this man of God has always supported the movement. And I just want to publicly, before we even get started, I want to say thank you. Like, real talk. Like, you've been down and you down for the count. And so I'm grateful for you. How you feeling today?
I feel great. I feel honored to be here. I mean, just to see your growth and just witness your evolution. Like, thinking back to years ago when you had a vision, you had a dream, and like to see it grow into this and to see your following and your community of supporters, like, it's amazing. Like, I'm honored to be one of your supporters. So I'm just really excited to be here. I feel amazing.
Oh, y'all hear how bougie he sound? He say, I'm honored to be
Oh,
one.
So typical.
That's right. That's right. I'm honored to be a part. Well, let me go ahead and shout a few people out because I know they're going to watch. Shout out to the Sullivans. I'm just going to say, I'm not about to list all y'all out. Y'all
That's a lot of
family.
us.
It's a lot of y'all. They hold us down. So I appreciate you for coming in. Y'all. So, we're talking about mental health, and it was so important and so necessary for you to come at this time because what y'all don't know, and I'm gonna let you say it because baby, I know I'm gonna mess it up. All right, so you have your PhD in
Counselor Education and Supervision.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So counseling, essentially. So my degree focused on training aspiring therapists and counselor educators, people who want to educate and train people on how to become counselors and therapists. So that's what my degree focuses on. I work in higher education, so I get to apply that to the collegiate setting and working with college students every day.
So that's it. So you are a professor now.
So I'm not a professor, I'm an administrator.
Okay.
So I work in campus life, student affairs, but I get to use my counseling skills, having conversations with students, with parents, with my staff. I get to put those skills to use every day.
They are some precious skills now. Going through that program. Well, I guess I'm about to spill some tea because I don't think I said this, Desiree. Your girl is currently in the program herself.
Why have we not talked about that publicly yet?
I don't know. Well, because of the job that I don't have no more. If I'm honest.
But you were doing that.
I know, but only a select few knew. And because the thing about it is when you work for corporate America and then the reason why I'm in this field or I'm going towards this field is because God told me to.
Yeah, okay.
And so I was kind of like nervous to even like say anything because in sales, like you don't have time for anything else. Like with the position I was in, it was like, you got to commit to this. Like, an unspoken rule, but no one ever came at me about it. So, but now I can be loud and proud about it. I normally don't say anything. And plus, I don't, how some people think they finna get a free counseling session because, have you ran into that, Phillip?
Yeah, but that's
that
not violates
ethical.
The code of ethics.
That's not ethical. So do not
do that.
do not call me thinking I'm about to. No. So I am pursuing my master's in marriage and family therapy. So that is, I can feel you on that. The skills that you learn are very beneficial, and I think that it's also an opportunity to address yourself. Like what kind of experiences did you have, like, while learning? I mean, I'm learning now. It's like, hold up, I got to deal with this first.
Yeah.
I have to deal with this first. So can you talk about your experience a little bit as like going through the process to get where you are now?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's interesting, and I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point, to think about the stigmatization of mental health or poor mental health in Black communities, right? Especially those of us who grew up in the faith, in the church, and thinking about how oftentimes, we're told you don't need to go to counseling, you don't need to go to therapy, you have church, you got God, that's all you need. That narrative was not really pushed strongly in my household, but it was something that I've just seen, in our community. And so I had never gone to counseling prior to being in my PhD program.
Wow.
And so I am learning all these techniques, learning about the power and the effectiveness of going and seeing a therapist if you need to do that. And I'm thinking I'm a hypocrite because I've never been. I've never gone to counseling. And so it really took some life-altering events that happened during my PhD program that really prompted me to go to counseling. So my second year of my PhD program, I lost one of my best friends. He was 27 years old.
Yeah.
And then I lost my grandmother a few weeks before that.
Yeah.
And here I am, in a PhD program, working full time, trying to progress in my career and dealing with loss and grief in ways that I had never dealt with them before. And so in that moment, I knew I had to do something. And that was my gateway or my entry point into, going to counseling and seeing a therapist. And so from then, I had the opportunity to really think about my life like holistically and think about my narrative and my story and my journey and, all of the different things that shaped me into who I was and, who I was becoming. And counseling really helped me do a lot of that processing and unpacking. So.
That's so good. You said a lot. One of the things that you said kind of triggered the thought of the reason why you didn't think to go to counseling prior to you seeking out this PhD, right? And just in my mind, just knowing who you are, did your well-grounded foundation, I would say, keep you or make you feel like you didn't need it, or what kept you from the thought of needing therapy? Like, what was your thoughts on therapy before going down this path?
Yeah, I think it's always been my faith. Like I always tie everything back to faith. And so I think that I'm someone who, prior to going to counseling, prior to going to therapy, I would always pray. I would always just believe that, something better would be on the other side of whatever struggle I was experiencing. And I really think that is what made me not really look into it as an option. But then as I began to learn more, I began to think about the ways in which my faith and counseling were interconnected.
Yeah.
And so my theory, I guess my theoretical orientation or my theoretical lens is it's a camp called CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy. And in that, it focuses on a few different principles, but among those are thinking about unhelpful thoughts or what we call maladaptive thoughts. And it talks about, just the power and the science behind believing that change can happen and what can come of that. And I think in a lot of ways that is connected to faith. And so when I began to see them as connected, I began to really lean into the opportunity to take advantage of a resource that, is available.
You listen, let me tell y'all something. Y'all see how eloquent. Baby, this is eloquent. Jesus. Desiree, am I lying? And it's the part for me where you said that you saw the connection of your faith and this theory per se, and you made the connection and you saw how it was beneficial to have both, and not only to just act on your faith and just have the faith, but this is so good. I just heard Holy Spirit say, not just act on your faith, but to support your faith. My goodness, I've never thought of it like that.
Because if you think about it, and the way I think about it, everything related to cognitive behavioral therapy, to me, it's in the book. So like, if you think about like scriptures, so I would have fainted lest I believe I'll see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.
In the land.
So that is one of my favorite scriptures because it talks about the power of belief. Like that you will see the goodness of the Lord. Yeah. And you don't have to wait for it. You'll see it here in the land of the living. But if you did not believe, if you don't believe, you can faint. And so, you know, when I think about that, it's so powerful because, again, it goes back to belief. If I believe that there is something on the other side of this, if I believe that, you know, although I'm in a dark place or I'm enduring a struggle, that something good will come, it can happen. And so I believe in that. I believe that they are connected. And I'm so thankful, again, that I'm now able to see how faith, that foundation, connects to what I now know about mental health and the resources that are out there.
This is so good. So let me ask you this. So had you not been through anything like, had you not been through, and I'm using this word probably lightly because I know the degree of trauma is different for everybody else.
Yeah.
What some people consider trauma, other people's like, oh, that was my regular life. You know what I'm saying? Had you not experienced anything prior to that, or did that open up to what trauma actually was to you when you actually went to counseling?
So it was the latter. You know, I think I now have language to be able to speak to some of the experiences that I had in the past, things that were trauma or traumatizing that I didn't know. I didn't know it was trauma. And so I kind of dealt with it in my own way. But I think, again, learning more, I knew, oh, that thing that I went through, that was a traumatic experience. I have been holding on to something that someone said to me when I was 12, and I didn't realize that was still coming up for me so many years later. And I now realize the impact that it had and that it's having on me.
So so for somebody that's listening right now, so they know something. Let's say I know something happened to me, but I'm calling, I'm just strong, or I'm just this. Like, how does that affect, when you're not dealing with it, how does that affect your daily practical walk or your daily life? Yeah.
I think what's challenging is, like, again, sometimes you don't even know how it's impacting your daily life. It can show up in the ways that you communicate with people. It can show up in the ways that you treat people.
Yeah, that's so good.
It shows up in you know, it manifests in stress, which can have physical implications, you know, on your body. And yeah, it really just impacts you in a lot of different ways that you probably don't even think about, because, again, you don't really know that you're still dealing with that thing. So I think it can have a lot of negative impacts on you in terms of interpersonal dynamics. Again, just your conversations, your relationships with people, but also it can do a lot internally in a negative way.
So at what point did you recognize, like, I know you said you didn't want to, like, be hypocritical and say, oh, I'm going to be helping these educators and doing all this stuff and using these skills, but I haven't allowed anybody to use them on me. At what point, like, what signals did you feel like inside of you and that people can recognize them about themselves, like, okay, it's time, or okay, you're ready? Because at some point, first, people have to, like, be ready and willing, or you'll be, you know, wasting your time and your money. Like, if, I don't know how else to say that you might say it a little bit more eloquent, a little bit more eloquent than me. Like, but how do people know that they're ready to go through the process of therapy? I
think for me, what when it became evident that I needed a change to happen, I knew it was time. And so I think when we have that conversation with ourselves, am I ready? Like, am I, do I feel brave enough to, engage in this experience? I think you have to ask yourself, how badly do I want to see change happen? Because the truth is, you may not feel brave enough, or you may not feel ready, but how badly do you want, or how badly do you need change to happen? And I think when you're ready to engage in that conversation about desired change and how someone might be able to help you work through that process, I think it's time at that point.
You talking real good, sir.
Yeah,
you
talk
good. That whole thought, Desiree, about bravery.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna talk because I want to hear you talk, because you talk so good. Why does it take bravery to go through this process?
For me, I think about the level of vulnerability that are required for me to go and talk to someone about the things that I've held for my entire life.
Wait. I was gonna let you go until you said the last part. Woo! Because the thing is, Phillip, is that we really we think we go for one thing, but literally we take our whole self into that space.
Absolutely.
And it's like no one's expecting you to be perfect. Like, we really, like, as a counselor, you really expect the imperfections, and people like me, I'm gonna talk about me, okay? Yeah. Can go into a space and be like, oh, I don't want to say this because you're gonna look at me a different type of way, or you might, but I'm bringing my whole self, which is my whole life, my whole experience, and I'm sharing it with somebody I do not know, because ethically I can't. If you know me, I'm telling you, your cousin cannot counsel you. Your friend, if these folks know you, they cannot counsel you. They are ethically wrong, okay? I'm going to somebody that has all these notions and all these pinned up ideas about who I am, and I have to share this, just trusting that you can help me.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's why it is so brave for people just to not only make the decision, because it's one thing to make the decision, it's another thing to act on it. It's another thing to act on it. You are talking so good. One of the things I wanted to get into with you, because if y'all can't tell, he's a black man, okay? I'm gonna tell the folks that can't see him on Apple Music or Apple Podcast, all y'all that's listening, he's a black man. And a well-equipped black man, like educated, sharp, like smart. I mean, just all of it. And so as a black man, the stigma specifically with black men, I think I don't, because I'm not a man, right? What are the difficulties or the challenges for you guys in particular? What do you see come up mostly when it's the approach of therapy and counseling?
Well, I think several things. One being the expectation that, as black men, we don't show a lot of emotion. We aren't meant to be too expressive. I think that's one of the things. Boys, stop that crying. Stuff like that.
As a child.
Messages that we hear as children, and even as adults. Oh, you're being soft, like So I think there's a lot of apprehension around feeling like you can be vulnerable or expressive. I think also sometimes, like, as black men, trusting people with our vulnerability, and sometimes feeling like that might be used against us.
Yeah.
I think those are inhibitors or inhibitive factors for black men often, because again, we have been socially conditioned to uphold a particular image or way of being.
So I guess my thought is that, and this I'm trying to formulate this question, because at some point, I know it's where we grew up and how we grew up and the stigma, but at what point does the man, black men specifically, because I know it's even more challenging for them, but at what point, what does it take for these group of people to make the decision or to feel safe enough to make the decision?
I think one of the things that I'm really, really excited about is the fact that we're having these conversations now.
Yeah.
So I believe that we are the generation that is going to normalize being able to talk about mental health, being able to speak openly when we're not well, right? Being open about talking about going to therapy and sharing maybe our experiences with that. And so I think it's on us to continue these conversations, to talk about how we can support one another and to not perpetuate any of those stigmas that have existed for so long. Giving Black men and women room and space to be themselves. I think that those are things that it is up to us to take up the mantle and make sure that we push for change so that our children don't experience some of the things that we experience and that they don't hear some of the messages that we heard.
That's so good. So you in the Desiree got it like on hell in here. My God, if I keep I'm clearing my throat.
It's not me. It's not me.
It feels good to me.
Listen, and then the man of God got a jacket on. My God. So the past two answers, the previous two answers that you answered included the importance of child development. So to parents, right? Because I mean, you're working with college students that were once in a space where they were at home, they were doing things, and they end up taking their home experiences to college and trying to develop that space. How can a parent assist? What is the position of the parent? How can they assist, and what do you think hinders them from seeking help for their child?
Well, I think one thing that I'm seeing now is that parents are very involved in really all aspects of their children's lives, maybe to a fault sometimes. So I think that's a complicated answer because
we got time.
I believe that sometimes, let me start with the other part of that first. What they can do is have conversations about feelings and start early. For my friends in our age group that are parents, I really find joy in watching them parent and just kind of seeing the ways that they do it a little bit differently. There's this whole concept called soft parenting. I don't, I believe in a little bit of that to an extent. Balance is key. But I think one of the things that I do appreciate about soft parenting is that there's more room for conversation.
That's so good.
How are you feeling? Or if you ask a question, I'm not offended, right? We can talk about it. You're upset. You're angry. I can acknowledge your feelings. And so again, I think just starting early and being able to have those conversations. One of my, I'm going to shout out one of my friends, Laura. She has 2 little boys. And
hey, Laura.
Laura, I was recently at their house visiting with them, and her 2-year-old was getting a little upset because I brought the now 4-year-old, I brought him a birthday gift, and the 4-year-old was playing with the gift, and Laura was letting him play with the gift, and the 2-year-old, he kept saying, well, now it's my turn. I want to play with it. And he was getting worked up over not being able to play with the toy. And I was fascinated because I was watching him, and like at one point he, you know, it looked like he was about to start crying and like, you know, becoming hysterical. But Laura was like, breathe. Mm-hmm. And I watched him, and he starts breathing, and he starts doing a breathing exercise. What? And this boy is 2 years old. And so I just thought that was, again, fascinating because, you know, Laura is very, I just love Laura. She's very dynamic and eclectic. And I just think the way that she approaches parenting, I really appreciate it because she has already taught her 2-year-old and 4-year-old child such a valuable and useful tool that they can use for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And so I think having those conversations about feelings, doing breathing exercises and other little mechanisms where, again, we're normalizing expressions of feelings and where we are mentally, I think that just goes such a long way.
That's so powerful that you brought that up because even you just said Laura, I think about Kendall. I think about Kendall. Specifically Corey, her second child. She is very I don't know. I don't want to use the word emotional, but she feels everything. Like she can discern stuff, and she just feels like everything. Like, so if you're sad, she knows you're sad, and she might be sad. And so just she's navigating through her emotions at this point, and just to witness my sister, her patience with her kids, and just like it was one time, I think it was when Katie was younger, her eldest child, and excuse me, when she was growing up, and she said, no, use your words. And that's what both of us are saying right now. Brings me back to the scripture that says when it talks about train up a child, right? And we think about in my time, when I first heard it, it was always train up a child in the church type of thing. And it's only in the church. And it goes back to what you were saying regarding the church being the only promotion for health, or the only thing that we need to grow mentally and all that good stuff. And so I think it is a beautiful stage that we're in, where we're seeing parents just really do it differently. Like, not acting out of emotion, but being able to calm themselves down enough to have a conversation, even in frustration, or even in times of hardship. Because if I'm a parent, like, man, I'm not a parent, I'm a dog mom. Shout out to the dog parents. He's a dog father. Shout out to that. But I can only imagine, I'd be stressed out about getting food for more. Yeah. So imagine me, you know what I'm saying? Imagine me being a full-out parent with in the stages that I'm in, and, you know, kind of stepping back and rebuilding myself financially, that I got all of this, and then I got to manage your emotion too. Like, that's a lot. And so I'm even thinking about it now. It's like, it's not that they did not want to do it back in the day. Maybe they just didn't have the freedom or liberty that we have now to present that as an option for us, or their parents presenting it as an option to them. Because my daddy took me to therapy. I told this is not funny, and I have to be mindful of how I say these words, because, you know, the algorithm be like, shut it down. Like, let me be mindful. I was gonna take a trip to heaven quicker than inspected, if you can catch my drift. And so when I told the girl that I was gonna take a trip to heaven, I didn't know she was gonna go tell her mama, who told my daddy. And he was mad. Like, he was mad because I lied to him, because I was scared to tell him the truth, because I didn't want to disappoint him. Because I'm thinking all these things, like, okay, my daddy is a single parent. I don't need to stress him out, or I don't need to do this. I just felt like at that moment that it would be better for me not to be in the equation anymore for multiple reasons. And one of the reasons was because I felt like a burden. Right. And so what you're saying is so important and so real of how effective we can be, just not as parents, but like you say, we get to interact and see different avenues that children around us are taking, and how do we impact that, even with them not being our child. You get what I'm saying? Like, who child? It's this heat, y'all. It's this heat. So
roll your sleeves up.
What?
Roll your sleeves up.
Girl, I don't know if that's gonna work. Kirsten, give me some.
Look,
my little sister in here, y'all. Give me some of your Kool-Aid. Child, I'm a little parched, y'all. This is so good.
But you know what, Jess? If you think about, a lot of times it's, we tend to do what we know. Like, even I got to stay with my friend for about 6 months, and she has twin girls.
Yeah.
And so I saw a lot of repeated patterns. Like, I even saw like my mom in her. Like, my mom's idea of like love and nurturing was, I just need to work to make sure I can pay these bills, right?
Yeah.
But I was in this space where I didn't have the responsibilities of raising kids. I just got to be in the space, right? So there were a lot of times where I got to have conversations with them. They're going to be 11. That's crazy. They're going to be 11, and I would just engage in their imagination, right? And
That's
my
so
friend be like,
good.
"Friend, don't be entertaining that foolishness, that crazy." I was like, "Friend, but it's fun." Like, I would just say it's fun, but I could just see them light up and just be like, "Oh man, somebody actually cares about what I have to think or say." And so my prayer is that me allowed them to show them something different. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hoping that my friend was able just to see something different as well, because she literally was doing what she knew, which was she's just trying to provide them a better life than what she had. And she didn't necessarily have the nurture. She didn't come from a nurturing background. So either you do what you know, or you overdo what you don't want.
Listen,
ooh, that's so real.
the woman of God is oily.
And I love that you said that. And that really makes me think of it makes me think of oppression and the ways in which Black people within the Black diaspora.
Here you go with them big words.
Look, I was finna
Diaspora.
I was finna go to Google.
Go to Google, girl.
So basically, if you have African roots, whether you identify as African American, Caribbean American, if you have Black ancestry, African ancestry,
diaspora.
That's fancy.
So I just and I say diaspora because I have so many friends now who don't identify as like Black American, like their parents are from Haiti or from Jamaica, or they're second generation from Africa, and so the Black diaspora, we are very diverse, and we don't all have the same experiences.
Right.
But one common thread that we do have, obviously, is the oppressive forces that have worked to marginalize Black people since the inception of this country.
Yeah.
And what I think about, and I'm so glad Desiree brought that up, is, as we're talking about our families and our parents, we're not that far removed from slavery, from Jim Crow. Like, it's fresh. Like, people, I work in higher education. The first Black people at many of our institutions are still alive.
Yeah.
And these people were pepper sprayed. They received death threats. People attempted to murder them. These people are still here. And so when you think about just the journey that we as a people have been on in this society, we have for so long had to just make do. Like, our grandparents worked their fingers to the bones so that our parents would have a better life than they had.
Yeah.
Our parents did the same thing. And we are so privileged to be able to be in this beautiful space, having this conversation with jobs, with places
jobs
to live, single, like no kids, like that. It wasn't a thing in previous generations. And so I think that, to Desiree's point, yes, like our parents did what they knew was best, and they did the best that they could. And again, it's on us to take what they poured into us, plus the knowledge that we have, and provide a better pathway for generations to come.
You just brought up this thought, because when we think about giving grace, because that's the word for what we're talking about, giving grace to our parents, I think we really got to talk about what that looks like, because I've seen so many times, even in my own situation, where I was so frustrated with a decision that my parents made or did not make with me, and not understanding their mental space. And until God put me in this place, like, I always bring this up. I brought this up before, but I love my mom. But we all know in this room the strain of the relationship that we've had with each other and trying to do relationship. We're at a great place now. Like, I think, when I tell you, I thank God for the space that we're in, but it took me understanding that at some point my mom was a 32-year-old woman trying to navigate through life. And at 32, by the time she was 32, she had 3 kids. Like, I couldn't imagine having 3 kids, trying to navigate through life, trying to figure. I just figured myself out. I am just coming to a place where I can say, "Oh, I think I know what I'm doing," or "Oh, my purpose. I'm starting to live this thing out." My mama didn't get that opportunity. My mama started having to figure out, "Oh, how can I be a good mom? How can I be a good wife?" And I'm mad at her because she made decisions based on what she had to do when she was my age. And so, what are some practical ways that we can give our parents grace in those areas, but also nurture them to the point where, I guess, they know that they have the opportunities that we have, as far as like going to therapy, going to counseling, almost like a idea what they call in corporate America managing up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think one of the beautiful things about where we are now is we are able to have conversations with our parents about just our perspectives from our childhood. Like, I'm thinking about what you said about how your mom was 32 with 3 kids and figuring things out. I think about my parents and how, like, they worked so hard, and like sometimes as a kid I was like, well, they just seem like they're just so tired, or they're in a bad mood when they get home, or, you know, why can't we go out and do this? And why, you know, I think about those times where I really just did not understand. And I fully believe that there are still some things that we don't understand. You know, because they had been in some of those spaces that we haven't been in yet at our age. And so I think, like you said, giving them grace and showing gratitude.
Now, preach. Now, let me tell y'all something. He got a little ministry. And go ahead, sir. I was often hold my mule.
No, but just showing gratitude for the sacrifices that they made, for the ways in which they showed up for us when we didn't even know that we needed them to be there for us in that moment. I think it starts there with gratitude and just thanking them for the foundation that they laid, and then showing them, look, and I will say this to my parents all day. They created a pathway for me to do everything that I'm doing now.
That's so good.
And, you know, in terms of education, my career, and even me going to therapy. we never talked about them going to therapy. I don't believe they ever went to therapy, but because of the foundation that they created for me, again, I had the luxury of even seeing therapy as an option.
Wow. Can you go, before you go past
Yeah.
that, can you go a little deeper in that? Because
Yeah.
you said you didn't see them go to therapy. They weren't promoting it,
Mm-hmm.
but they gave you an avenue. What practically, how did that look?
Yeah. Well, for one, so I think about my parents' journey. So my grandparents on my mom's side, neither of them went to college. On my dad's side, my grandfather, I'm not sure if he finished college, but he did some college. And my grandmother was a nurse. Both of my parents went to college. They, decided that they were going to do that so that they could create, again, a pathway for their family, their future family. So they went to college, and they really instilled in us the value of education. And so because of everything that they poured into me and getting a good education, and me being able to explore different avenues and opportunities about not only what I wanted to do in life, but who I wanted to become, they always empowered and supported me in becoming who Phillip wanted to be.
That's so good.
And so because of that, I have the knowledge that I have. I've had the experiences that I've had because they allowed me to be. And I don't take that for granted.
Phillip, you are in my business right now. I'm just gonna. I can't say it right now, but when we get off here, I got something to tell you. Okay? Because I'm trying to see how I'm gonna say this. At some point, parents have to realize when their parental job is up. And I think that I'm not a parent yet, so y'all let me know in the comments. I think that you want to go from, I think this was Apostle Howell, he might have said this, that at some point you want to be able to go from the parent to the advisor. All right, because we get to choose whose advice we get to take.
Yeah.
And if you're always, you won't always be my parent, but the role of the parental role, you being my parent at 3 does not look like the same thing
Absolutely.
as I'm 30.
Right.
And so I think that what you're saying is that your parents early on taught you independence while you depended on them. That's what interdependence, but that's what that means. That's what PhD. That's what that means, right? So it's like when we're able, this is so good. And that word, I believe, and you can speak to this too, I believe that word is so powerful in the mental health space is because, just like you said earlier, I'm able to do this because I believe, right? And it gives you an understanding of the power that resides in you. Listen, I've been on this power word, y'all, like real talk. And so, what is it? 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind," aka discipline. Okay, and so when I think about the gifts that God left us, and when fear tries to rise up, I need to. Then I'm not really in knowledge or awareness of my power, and that's why I feel like I'm sensing that it's a lot of people are afraid to go to these mental health spaces or to get the help that is needed because they don't understand the power that is in them to change. Somebody's just advising them or walking with them. Because if you let's think about it. I was in class one day, y'all, and I'm gonna stop ranting. I was in class one day and it hit me. The Holy Spirit said, literally, the position of a counselor is almost like the position of Holy Spirit. He said when I left Holy Spirit, I left him as what? He said, I'm leaving, but I'm sending a what? counselor,
Mm-hmm.
a helper.
Yeah.
Right? And so the position of a counselor is to help you do what you want to do.
Mm.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
The position of a counselor is to help you do and get where you want to get. It's not to tell you what to do. And I think that we don't really understand the power within that, within us. And what you said your parents did was they influenced the power.
Mm. Yeah, that's real good.
Like,
yeah.
Baby,
Yeah.
I can preach a message on this.
That's really good. And when you think about the therapeutic process, really, it's a co-constructive process, right? I think a lot of people go to therapy or think therapy is, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get a bunch of advice, or I'm gonna get some opinions, or I'm gonna get a roadmap about how to fix my life. It's a co-constructive process. It is an alliance in which you are working together toward your desired change. And so, and thinking about that scripture, power, love, and a sound mind, and I'm kind of processing all of that in a lot of ways. But if God has given us a spirit, if God has given us the ability for a sound mind, what resources are we using that he's given us to tap into our sound mind that he has wired us for? And so, there's a lot with that. And I think I could go on a tangent with that, but
Phillip,
he's already given it to us. Oh. So who are we not to use the resources, the people around us to make that reality?
Phillip, I just felt my shundo come on.
That's good.
Because the way you just put that, it says you already have the sound mind. Sometimes you just got to remember what you got.
Mm.
And that's the position of the counselor.
Yeah.
To remind you, to remind you what was already given to you. Like that's the gift of God, is to be at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is the blessing of God. That is, when we think about it, that is your inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
Power, love, sound mind.
Mm-hmm.
A sound mind is supposed to be. I'm supposed to be sound. I'm supposed to be at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what the enemy, and I'm trying not to get too preachy because y'all know how I be. TikTok know how I be. Yeah. What the enemy tries to do is to separate. I'm about to get up. Okay,
stop,
let me hold on to my.
I'll join you. Come
Listen, the enemy's job is to separate you from the truth, and the truth is that God already gave it to you. God already gave you the peace that you need. God already gave you the sound that you need for your mind. Y'all, I am about to get up out this chair. God already gave you the authority. And then he said, even when you, watch this, even when you don't feel that way, or you can't acknowledge it, or you can't see it, I'm sending a helper, aka a counselor, aka a therapist, to walk alongside with you so you can have the revelation again.
Amen.
Y'all.
And it's all over. It is going back to, something I said earlier. It's all in the messages we've heard, going back to the faith. When the enemy comes in like a flood, he will raise a standard. And I think of it like hymns, like, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It's just all these messages. And I bring it back to, again, my foundation and what I know now.
My God.
He's given us the sound mind. He's given us the resources. Sometimes we need help leveraging those resources. And that's a function of a counselor, if you believe that way.
If the responsibility of the if is real.
Yeah.
And so the whole purpose of this series, the whole purpose of this opportunity to have this dialogue about mental health. And I mean, we went through different avenues regarding this space with Phillip. But what I really got out of it is from you is that the belief system attached to the change. Like if I ain't hear anything else out of this space, it's the belief system that is attached to the potential of your change. Like the change can really be what you want it to be if you believe. And so like, man, we could go on and on and on and on. Phillip, I want to throw something at you right now because we're probably about to talk a little bit more after this, y'all. And this is not his last time, y'all. Like this is my friend in real life. And so he will definitely be on again. There's a lot of conversations that I want to expose, but I really wanted him to come have these conversations because for one, he went to school for this. Like the word says, study to show thyself approved, and studying is not always talking about the Bible. Study is showing yourself approved in the field that you are purposed in. And baby, I don't know how higher you can go than a PhD. I'm just saying. So I just want to say thank you for being here. But before we wrap this thing up, I want to give you the opportunity, if there's anything that's on your heart, anything that you kind of wanted to make sure that the people heard from you, if they heard nothing else out of this conversation, what would you like to leave with them?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think one of the things that I'm thinking about as I reflect on our conversation is one of the things that we share is our faith.
Yeah.
Realizing that not everyone shares the same belief system, right? And I think regardless of that, beyond that, I think there are tools that you can tap into that help you think about your problems differently. And so I came up with this little slogan, and I don't know. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, but it's a safe space.
So it's called the ABCs of mental health.
Yeah,
and it's a little corny, but just bear with me. And so again, it talks about belief. So ABCs of mental health. A is acknowledge that you need help, that there is opportunity and space for you to have someone come alongside you to achieve your desired change. And so just that acknowledgement, I'm not okay. I need support. That's the A.
Yeah.
B is believing that change can happen. I've acknowledged that there is a problem. I've acknowledged that I'm unwell. I'm not okay. But I believe something can happen. Something can shift. The C is for community, finding community, right? So you have your therapeutic relationship with your therapist, but also finding community. And that's not saying find people to try to be your therapist, but get around some people who want to see you well, who care about your wellness. So acknowledge, believe, and find community. I think that those are very important factors or elements to consider when we think about our mental health. And so I think that's what I would leave people with.
Acknowledge, believe, find community. I love when I say love the find community part, because that's why the enemy tries to isolate us, because he knows community is what keeps us accountable to the decision that we made for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that was not corny. That was so powerful. Like ABCs: acknowledge, believe, find community. I think that put the nail in the coffin, as the folks as the folks in the back say. Listen, y'all tell us what y'all thought about this conversation, because I know it was a lot. We could have went a lot of ways, but I'm grateful that we went the way we went, because it was very much so needed. I'm definitely going to have Phillip back We got to do a part 2 to our original conversation because
that was fun.
y'all we're gonna link that video in the description because that conversation was so good. And to see us, you were in your master's program, right? No.
You were I was in the PhD program.
Okay, you were in the PhD.
Yeah,
so just started the PhD program, and to see where you are now is just so phenomenal. And I'm proud of you. I am so grateful for you. Just for being here. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Man, baby, they finna hit you up. Okay. Yeah, he does take his speaking engagements. Just let me know. Tell me, and then I'll let you know what his honorarium is. Okay. Desiree. My God. It's so good. So I'm scared for the next one, honey, because we got some therapists coming in the building. So I'm really excited. Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Remember, until next time, remember, life could be much more simple if you just ask. I'll see you later.